Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Pimlico Racecourse here on Friday. It is the 17th of May, 2024. It's Black Eyed Susan Pimlico Special Day from Pimlico, and we're going to look at all those races and all the other stakes races on the program. But before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and join me tomorrow for my Preakness preview here from Pimlico. It's going to be a wet one, though, this weekend in Baltimore, so it's going to be, hopefully the mudda is a mudda. But let's look at the stakes action. Races 8 through 13 from Pimlico, all conveniently packed in an all-stakes pick 6. Let's get to the 8th race, which is the Allaire Dupont Distaff. It's going for a purse of $100,000. Race fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field here of, field of 8 horses going 1,800 meters or a mile and an eighth on the Pimlico turf course. My top selection here, I'm going to go with the number 8 horse here, Shotgun Hottie. Let's go 8415 in the Superfecta. 8415 Super, top selection 8 horse, Shotgun Hottie, there we go. This 5-year-old mare by Gunrunner, Chevry DeVoe trains, Paco Lopez gets to mount. The horse's most recent outing came at Oakmont on the 13th of April, mile 16th in the Apple Blossom Handicap, and the horse was just a little bit flat, had a very wide poster, which I think cost him. He left to get good position out of the gate, and he stalked all the way around, but then just kind of yielded late. Finishing 4th by 8 1/4 lengths. He ran his heart out against some very tough horses that day. Stepping down in class, gonna have to overcome a wide poster here today, but I think a wide poster here isn't as bad as it is at Oaklawn. I think here you have a better run to the first turn, and I think he could overcome the ground to get the job done. Also, a lot more speed favoring track here at Oaklawn than at Oaklawn. Prior to then, the Allaire at Oaklawn over the mile 16th, 9th of March, he finished 4th by 2 1/4 lengths that day. And again, it was just a little bit wide and just wasn't getting into it. He just couldn't keep up there. And then the Bayakoa, another wide trip, he finished 6th by 4 3/4 lengths, and he just never again was comfortable that day. He's been at the mercy of the poster his last few. 9 of 9, 8 of 8, 9 of 9, 7 of 7, 6 of 6. He's never had good inside poster. As the last time actually had a very good inside poster was the summer of 2022, where he ran in the Monmouth Oaks, where he finished 2nd by 2 1/2 lengths that day, where he just couldn't get there late, but he got around the race course well. His most recent victory came in the Molly Pitcher at Monmouth in the summer of 2023 over the mile 16th, winning by 1/2 length, closing it from nowhere from wide trip. He really put on a show. And prior to that, the Lady Secret at Monmouth last summer, again, a very good easy run on the front end, win by 5 1/2 lengths. He has some early pace, which should do wonders here. He's training well. He could definitely win. I think the 4-horse Musical Mischief for John Velasquez and Michael McCarthy can win also. Most recently in the Double Dog Dare, Keelan over the mile 16th off the bench. He finished by 7 1/2 lengths that day and didn't get out of the gate so clearly. Was a little bit wide and just was never comfortable. Prior to an option 40 at Turfway over the mile 1/4 in February, he won by 1 3/4 lengths and came from nowhere. Stupidly wide trip, but this horse won for fun that day with the 80 buyer. And then prior to that in December over the mile 1/4 at Turfway in option 25, he won by 1 3/4 lengths, again going away. Horse is a mile and a quarter horse, cutting back to a mile and an eighth, training well in dirt, 2nd off. I think this horse get the job done. Watch out for this one here today in the pick 6. We'll go too deep with this one. But to recap my selection for the 8th from Pimlico now, it's the Allaire Dupont Distaff. Going to take the 8 horse Shotgun Hottie, give kudos to the 4 horse Musical Mischief, 8415 Super. 8-4 in the multi-race. Let's get to the 9th event from Pimlico, which is the Hilltop Stakes. It's going for a purse of $100,000. Race for fillies, 3-year-olds here. We have a field of 10 horses going 1,600 meters or a mile on the Pimlico turf course. I love the 2-horse Royal Wintour as a top selection. Let's go 2-6-3-5 in the Superfecta. 2-6-3-5 Super, top selection 2-horse Royal Wintour. This 3-year-old field by Drimscheller here. Grand Motion trains, Jorge Ruiz gets to mount. The horse's most recent outing came 3 weeks ago at Keelan. Mile 3/16 on the lawn, allowance race 110,000. First time winners, finished 2nd by a nose that day, and he had a dream trip, a little bit wide that day, but he stalked. He closed up well. He just missed the victor, but he ran his heart out. If the race was a mile and a quarter, he would have won, but not a bad race. First time winners coming here, cutting back and trip with a very good post draw. First time stake quality horses. I think he could get the job done to get the victor today. 2 back in the main special weight, 70,000 Gulfstream, 1 mile 10th of March. He won by 2 1/4 lengths that day, and from a tracking trip all throughout, he quickened up nicely, and he went away with it. A very good strong run with the 80 buyer there, and then debut at Gulfstream mid-February, a mile in the main special weight. He finished 2nd by a head that day. He sat back early. He swung out wide late. He really closed up, or not wide late. He won it on the inside, but he closed up well from nowhere on the inside. He just missed, but he ran a very good sneaky race there. Grand Motion horses, they were winning at Gulfstream, but they were always running these incredible races, even the feet. Refreshing here. training well, coming to the home turf. I think at 3-1 this horse can win. I'll use her definitely in the pick 6. I think the 6 horse here, She Feels Pretty for John Velazquez and Cherie DeVoe can win also. Coming here first off the bench. Last outing came in the Brews Cup Juvenile Fillies at Santania, Phillies turf, that is. 1 mile lawn, 3rd November, where she finished 3rd by half a length that day. Had a stupidly wide poster, but was really gaining that day as a 7-2 favorite. She ran her heart out that day in defeat. Prior to the Natalma at Woodbine over the E.P. Taylor turf course, a mile there, she won by 4 1/4 lengths again. Stupidly wide, not the best beginnings, but she won for fun. And then broke the maiden sprinting at Ellis quite nicely. If there's going to be a pace meltdown, she could win. Coming here off the bench, Cherie DeVoe has good numbers at 25%. I'll give this horse a shot on the ticket. And even the 3 horse here, expert type, can't speak, pardon me, Chad Brown trains when Flavian Pratt gets him out. The winning Gulfstream back in February was quite nicely done by Nick. Coming here off the bench again, Chad Brown, great numbers off the bench. Coming here to first-time winners in stakes quality horses. I think this horse could really get a trip to win. Watch out for her here today. But to recap my selection for the 9th from Pimlico, it's the Hilltop. Going to take this 2-horse Royal Winter. Give kudos to the 6-horse She Feels Pretty and the 3-horse Expert. Again, pardon me, can't speak. 2635 Super, 263 in the multi-race. Let's get to the 10th event now from Pimlico, which is the Miss Preakness Stakes. It's a grade 3 event going for a $150,000 purse race for 3-year-old fillies. We have a field here of 12 horses going 1,200 meters or 6 furlongs on the Pimlico main track. Going to take the 3 horses. You almost had me. Going to go 3-4-1-8 in the Superfecta, 3-4-1-8 Super, top selection 3 horse. You almost had me. This 3-year-old field by Oxbow here. Brad Cox trains. Tyler Gaffleone gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came the 7th of April, Keeneland, about 7 furlongs in the Grade 2 Belmont, and just got outclassed by Denon and Pearls that day, who really took off clear. This horse finished 3rd by 12 1/4 lengths that day. She just stalked off the bench. She didn't get the turn of foot. The 2 in front of her were just a little bit better. Refreshing her second off. Lesser quality horses, she could definitely win here today. Prior to the Ferns Creek at Churchill over the 6.5 in November, she won by 3/4 length that day, and she sat back early. She dug in late, she quickened them nicely, and she got the job done. 86 Buyer, good race there. And then the Myrtlewood at Keeneland over the 6, she won by 7 lengths, and from a tracking trip, she was a little bit wide, but she flew home clear late. That was a very impressive victory. She's done almost, everything right other than the Beaumont. She's finished in the money almost in all her starts. And she's been getting better with the speed figure wise. Refreshing here, second off, 2-1, she could win. I think the 4 horse here, launch for Luis Saez and Jorge Delgado can win also. Was a winner in the Any Limit at Gulfstream of the 6 and marched quite nicely by 1 3/4 lengths from a tracking trip. She only had 2 of the rivals, but she really took off clear late. Prior to that, in an Officer 75 Gulfstream over the 6.5, she won by a neck, and she dug in to get the job done. A very game performance, and then she got caught in the glitter woman at Gulfstream on the slop, where she just wasn't a little into it, and maybe just need the race off the bench. But refreshing here, she could win, training well, incredibly well at Monmouth. But to recap my selection now for the 10th from Pimlico, it is the grade 3 Miss Preakness. Going to take the 3 horse. She almost had me. Give kudos to the 4 horse launch. 3-4-1-8 Super. 3-4 in the multi-race. Let's get to the 11th. The 11th race from Pimlico, it is the Very 1 Stakes. It's going for a purse of $100,000, race for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field here of 13 horses entered. Keep in mind the 11 horses at MTO, so 12 will head to the turf course, the distance of ground of 1,000 meters or 5 furlongs on the Pimlico turf course. Going to take the 3 horse Port Townsend as a top selection, 3-8-1-4 in the Superfecta, 3-8-1-4 Super. I'm going to go with all 4 of them in this pick 6 here, but the top selection 3 horse Port Townsend. This 4-year-old Philip Uncle Mo. Cherie DeVoe trains. Brian Hernandez Jr. gets the mount. Horse had a troubled trip in the Giants Causeway, most recently Keeneland over the 5.5, 13th of April. He finished 10th by 7 3/4 lengths and had to be stopped at the top of the lane. It looked like he was not going to win, but he would have got a better position than 10th. He stalked down the race course a little bit wide. When he got stopped in the lane, it just cost him the victory. It cost him a couple of placings that day, but he ran his heart out. Refreshing here, not the world's toughest race like the Giants Causeway was. Gets good poster where he could be forwardly paced. I think he could find a trip to win. 2 backing launchers at the Fairgrounds, 5.5, 3rd of March. He won by a half a length that day, and he stalked all the way around the race course a little bit wide, but he found the turn of foot to win that day. 83 Beyer off the bench. A very good race. And then first time on the green stuff came on mid-December at the Fairgrounds. 5.5 in the main patch weight, 52,000. Won by 4 lengths on the front end all throughout. He put on a show that day. Very, very good run. Keep in mind, second place finisher was the next start winner who ran quite nicely there. Getting Brian Hernandez up, who seems to know the horse a lot better than any other riders that's ridden him, could be forwardly paced. I think this horse could find the winner's circle. I'll use her. Don't throw out the 8 horse here, All That Magic, for Kathleen O'Connor and Luis Saez. Most recently on days at Aqueduct, 6 furlongs in mid-November. She finished third by 1 3/4 lengths that day, was stupidly wide that day from the inside, which you don't say very often, but swung out wide late. She was really gaining that day. Not a bad race where she saw a strong pace on the front end. Prior to that, an allowance race at Keeneland over the 5.5 in October. She won by 1/4 lengths that day, and again, she really got the turn of foot and split the corner well, going away with it that day. And then she ran on very soft turf in the Turf Monster, where she just was not comfortable there. Her races in the Mid-Atlantic last year weren't bad at all. She likes this 5. She's going to have to overcome a wide poster here today, but I think she's speedy enough and versatile enough to get the job done. She's definitely using the pick 4. I think the one-horse Queen of the Mud for Grand Motion and Flavian Pratt. The win at Aqueduct last September was quite impressive and came back to win an allowance race at Keeneland quite impressively also. Coming here off the bench, 18% for Grand Motion off the long refreshing. This horse could win also. Even the 4-horse Coffee Maker for Wesley Ward was a 1 or 2 back at Saratoga quite nicely. Came back to run the Woodford in the fall last year, where this horse just completely crumbled off of a strong pace on the front end. They were flying, and this horse, wasn't the benefit of that because she just couldn't get the turn of foot late. Completely crumbled. Way down the class ladder off the bench. I think at 2-1 she has a strong chance of winning also. So let's use her in this pick 6. That's I think this is the race you go many ways. But to recap my selection now for the 11th from Pimlico, it's the DeVere 1 Stakes. Going to take the 3-horse Powart Townsend, 3814 Super, 3814 in the pick 6. Let's get to the historic 12th race from historic Pimlico Racecourse. The 12th race, it is the Pimlico Special. It's a grade 3 event going for a $250,000 purse. Race for 3-year-olds and upwards. 8 horses are going the Preakness trip of ground, 1,900 meters or mile 3/16 on the Pimlico main track. I'm going to take the 2-horse King's Barn as a top selection. 2, 4, 5, 7 in the Superfecta. 2, 4, 5, 7 Super. Top selection 2-horse King's Barn. This 4-year-old colt by Uncle Mo. Top Ledger trains Luis Saez gets the mount. Horse's most recent out in the mile 3/16 Ben Alley at Keeneland, 20th of April, was a success. He won by 3 1/4 lengths, and he didn't sit on the front end that day. He stalked all the way around the race course a little bit wide, but he drove home clear late. 95 Beyer, tied crest best of his career. That was a very good run, second off the bench. First off the long refreshing came an optional 6-2 at Gulfstream, 7 furlongs, 2nd of March, and he won by a half a length that day. And again, saw a good case to close up into. They were flying up front, but he sat back early. He slowly moved his way into it, and he got the job done. Probably not a trip he benefited from, a trip of ground that he wanted to go. He probably wanted to go longer, but it's still a very good race. And then he just got outgamed in the Pegasus at Monmouth last year over the mile 16th off of a tough Derby run. He finished second by a neck. He got caught at the wire. He stalked. He had the lead. What can you do? He just couldn't keep up there. And then last year's Derby, he didn't have the best of trips. He was wide, just never really comfortable. But before that, he was perfect. Broke the main at Gulfstream last winter quite nicely. Came back to win an allowance race at Tampa quite nicely. And then won Louisiana Derby over this trip around quite easily last year, basically in a hand ride with a 1:14 and 3/4 time. But he basically walked home. His 2 best times have come over this mile 3/16 trip. At distance, you don't see him run a lot here stateside on the dirt, but when he seems to always run these kind of races and does quite nicely with them. Training well at Churchill. At 7-5, we're going to use him. I think the 4-horse Preakness for Cherie DeVoe and Brian Hernandez. Can you see a pattern coming with these races today at Pimlico? I think this horse is loaded also. One of his last 3, quite nicely and obsolete at Keeneland on the slop in April. This horse won by 3 lengths on the front and all throughout. He really took off clear. They walked to 3/4 with this one, but it was still a very good run. Prior to that allowance race at the Fairgrounds on the mud going a mile 16th, they won by 2.5 again. A very easy stalking trip, and then broke the main at the Fairgrounds quite nice over the winter. It seems like this is the kind of horse that just took him a little bit of time to get going, but since he's been getting going, he's really run these terrific races. Training well Keeneland. They should benefit with some more ground. Gets a good poster. Wouldn't surprise me. I'll use him on the ticket here on this pick 6 ticket, and even the 5-horse Gun Song for Johnny V. Or excuse me, not the 5. Wrong race. The 5-horse Red Route 1 for Joel Rosario and Steve Asmussen. I think this horse can win also. Most recently, the Oaklawn Handicap, he gained a little bit ground, but it wasn't anything spectacular in that defeat there. But he won the New Orleans Handicap quite nicely. Fairgrounds over the mile and eighth quite easily with a career best 101 Buyer, winning by 2 lengths, closing it for nowhere. That was a very good race. Prior to the man shaft, he just had a little bit too much ground to gain on the sloppy going, and then had a very good place in the Louisiana Stakes behind Saudi Crown. Last summer he was on the post Derby trail, Derby cycles. He ran the Dueling Grounds Derby, the Oklahoma Derby, the Zia Park Derby. Was the winner of the West Virginia Derby quite nicely by 3 lengths, closing up from nowhere. It's a bit of a deep closer. His track doesn't play towards deep closers at time, but he can win here at 8-5. I'll use him on this pick 6, but I do think King's Baron is your likeliest winner. But to recap my selections now for the 12th from Pimlico, it's the Grade 3 Pimlico Special. Going to take the 2-horse King's Barn. Give kudos to the 4-horse Preakness and the 5-horse Red Route 1, 2, 4, 5, 7 Super, 2, 4, 5 in the multi-race. To the 13th race now from Pimlico, it is the George E. Mitchell Black-Eyed Susan Stakes. It's a Grade 2 event going for a $300,000 purse race for 3-year-old fillies. We have a field of 8 horses going 1,800 meters, a mile and 1/8 here in this year's Black-Eyed Susan. I love the 5-horse gun song here. I'm going to go 5, 6, 7, 3 in the Superfecta. 5, 6, 7, 3 Super. Top selection and a single to end off this pick 4 or pick 6 for me is the 5-horse gun song. 3-year-old filly by Gun Runner. Mark Henning trains. John Velazquez, the veteran, gets the mount. Horse's most recent outing in the Gulfstream Park Oaks at Gulfstream, mile 16th, 30th of March. She finished 4th by 7 3/4 lengths that day. She didn't break so well, and she had a wide trip from a wide poacher, which is not ideal going mile 16th at Gulfstream on the dirt. She was a little bit wide throughout. She stalked that day, and then she just kind of hit the wall late. I think with a more leveler mile and 1/8 here at Pimlico, where this horse has a longer run to the turn, she could settle well on the front end. I think she could get a better trip to win here today. 2 back and up 75 at Gulfstream, 1 mile 9th of February. She won by 5 1/4 lengths that day, and she stalked all the way around the race course. She was a little bit wide, but she flew home that day. A very nice run there. And then off to 75 at Gulfstream over the 7 in January. She finished 2nd by a length behind Leslie's Rose that day. Again, she was with him early on. She got caught by Leslie's Rose, but she ran her heart out there. And then on 3rd December at Aqueduct, 7 furlongs and slop and off lady. She finished 3rd by 8 1/4 lengths behind Leslie's Luke that day. And Caress, who's a decent horse, she just didn't break so well. It was a little bit wide. And the track just wasn't playing towards closers that day. But breaking her maiden in October at Aqueduct was quite easily. She's definitely been on the improve. I think going around 2 turns for the first time should really suit her well. I think she's sitting on a very good race. 9-2. Watch out for her today. Like I said, she's going to be my single to end off this pick 6. So it's going to be an exciting pick 6 here on Black-Eyed Susan Day. So to recount my selection for the 13th from Pimlico, it is the Grade 2 $300,000 Black-Eyed Susan. Going to take the 5-horse gun song, 5, 6, 7, 3 Super, single to 5 in the pick 6 to end it off. So good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5. Good luck, everybody, and join me tomorrow for my Preakness preview.